So anyone in the know in MMA right now is talking about Jon Jones signing an 8-fight deal. He's set to come back to fight the most talented and technical heavyweight we have currently in that division, Ciryl Gane. I wanted to talk about just my thoughts on Jones returning to the sport, returning to a new weight class, his 8-fight deal, and what I thought of the UFC stripping Ngannou of the title. So let's get into it. Now listen, Ngannou was an exciting guy to watch fight, but out of the cage, I don't really feel like he had that draw to him. That's not to say that I didn't like his story, where he came from and what he was able to accomplish. I'll always have respect for him in that sense, but I was never really too buzzed to tune into a fight specifically for Ngannou, and I think this is a difference that needs to be talked about. I always tuned into a Ngannou fight to see if the other guy that he was in there with, so let's just use Gane versus Ngannou as an example. I always wanted to tune in to see if who he was going in there with could dethrone him. I say all that to say that I don't think that Ngannou was the draw the UFC quite thought he would be, especially because he's such a powerful dude. As I said, he's fun. I mean, listen, on a highlight tape, he's as fun as any other fighter to watch just send guys into orbit. But if you're talking about outside, I look at a guy in Gane that's more respectful, or now even Jones coming into the fold at heavyweight, for guys that I would listen to in interviews and want to see fight. So I think stripping Ngannou of the title and making him a free agent, getting in the biggest fight of the beginning of this year in Gane versus Jones, was a momentous win for the UFC. Not to mention just the other cards at the beginning of this year. I mean, anyone, again, that's in the know, I don't have to tell you the absolute heat that the UFC has coming your way. But as for the matchup between Jones and Gane, I think it's going to be an absolute technical masterpiece that we're going to be able to see in there. I've seen some people talking about the fact that they think it might go to a decision. Some part of me feels like we will see a finish in this fight. I think what makes it such an interesting matchup are the questions. And of course the names too. I mean, Jones is arguably one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. Top 3 for sure. You could make a very strong and healthy case that he is number 1. And then you have Gane, a guy that's, I mean, you look at some of his past fights. I mean, this past fight he had against Tuivasa in France, what he did to him, what he did to JDS. I mean, he is just taking guys out, what he did to Lewis. And you have two of these guys clashing heads for the vacant heavyweight championship. And so then if that wasn't enough, you then have to factor in the questions that come with this fight, right? Like, what is Jon Jones going to look like at heavyweight? Is he now going to have power? Because guys have talked about at light heavyweight how Jones is not really a guy to get you out of there with one strike. He doesn't have a tremendous amount of power in his hands or kicks. He's really a guy that will use volume and accuracy to wear down on you until he can get the finish. How is he going to look at heavyweight when guys can shut off the lights with one punch, when guys can wear on you with their weight? I mean, how is the extra weight going to affect his cardio? Jon is usually a guy that is very accustomed to going 25 minutes, 5 hard rounds. We don't know if the wide arsenal of strikes he usually has at his disposal might be dampened by going up in weight. Really, all of these questions, it's going to be interesting to see. And then on the Gane end of things, how is Gane going to match up with a guy that's on his level of technicality, a guy that is tricky, will throw elbows, I mean, has a really, really apt ground game. We saw that Ngannou, who's usually known for his power, was able to take Gane down pretty much at will in their last fight. Then if that wasn't enough, guess what? You have to then think about the questions that are presented after this fight. What if Gane beats Jones? Where does that put Gane in the conversation at heavyweight, in the sport? What if Jon goes up to heavyweight and absolutely nukes Gane, right? Like puts on a striking clinic for 25 minutes or however long and makes him look foolish. I mean, we know that Jon has a very strong resume for being the greatest of all time, but could you imagine what going up to heavyweight and finishing Gane with finality would do for his campaign? I mean, it would be massive. And then for the heavyweight division, say Jon comes in there and again smokes Gane. That puts the rest of the division on notice. And honestly, dude, if Jon had an iron grip over the light heavyweight division, albeit his margins of victory were getting closer and closer by the end, imagine what he would do at heavyweight, where it's true, one shot can end it all, but the guys aren't as technical as the lower weight classes. I don't know, man. If you want my way too early prediction, I think Jones has too much of an arsenal for Gane to handle. I think he's going to be a little bit too crafty, and I think Jones has a fair shot of getting it done by TKO. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I've been your boy, the Jewish John, and of course, the soundboard guy, Jacob Koopman. This has been Gloves Up, And I thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.